Hello everyone and welcome to Lipnox VR. Today we're taking a look at Haven Park from Mooneye Studios. This is not a VR game. I normally cover VR content on this channel, but I just got a brand new 4K TV and I wanted to branch out a little bit and cover this game. I got sent a review key for this one and I just couldn't resist. But this is sort of like an Animal Crossing lighthearted collectathon, build, customize and upgrade your park kind of deal. And I'm going to run through a new game save file and sort of show you what's going on. So before we get into it though, I'll just quickly go over the settings because you get all your resolutions. Control wise, I was using a gamepad, but you can use your mouse to sort of point in the direction it looks like, and your keyboard basic commands. There's not a lot of commands in this or things like that, so this is pretty basic in terms of control wise, but it's still fun. But I am running everything and recording this in 4K ultra settings maxed out, so this is top quality footage. Well, top quality video footage. And I have completed the game, so I'm starting a new save file, so I'm not spoiling too much, and I'm also skipping the opening cutscene there, so you can check that out on your own. But we've got Grandma here, and she has a quest that she wants us to do to sort of find all the campsites, and there's a conclusion in that story. But there's a whole bunch of quests you get along the way that sort of have their own individual conclusions. There's things like collecting certain amounts of objects, like, one person will ask you to collect a certain amount of fireflies, or whatever in that regard. This is a very basic kind of game where we're sort of going around picking up objects, and then we're using those objects to sort of craft things for our campsites. And when it says Haven Park, they're talking about like a nature park. They're not talking about a theme park or anything like that. So don't get confused in that regard. You can build restaurants. So you can build your own restaurants, and those restaurants, there's not a lot of the options for the restaurants, but those will generate money for you. And there's also a marketplace that you can trade your resources in. But we basically, to start this game off, we're wandering around, we're collecting resources. There's wood, there's metal, there's fabric, there's mushrooms, and there's our coins. So not a lot to worry about. We get to these sort of campsite things that have the axe in them, and we don't really need to build these things up, but it's a big portion of what is fun to do in this game. And you can move this stuff around, you can rotate it any way you want, so you can really customize these areas. We'll get to more of that later on, but starting things off, that's sort of what you get. And if you look at the bottom left, you have tasks you need to fulfill. So you'll see there the icons match with these icons, and they can be anything. So you need a shelter, we need another rest, and we need food to upgrade to the next level where another camper will come in. And some of these campers have, funny things they say. There's no voiceovers, it's just text, but they will sort of say hilarious, funny things. Some of them will have little quiz things for you, which I honestly don't recommend doing the quizzes unless you feel pretty confident, because it's a multiple choice kind of 1 in 4 thing, and I'll be honest, you're just guessing unless you've sort of progressed further in the game and you know what everything about the game is in terms of answers. So do be careful in that regard, but money's not a big deal, because once you realize the whole restaurant thing, you build up each one of these areas and put a restaurant on it, and then you sort of cycle around again and you can collect all the money. There's signposts that we build along the way. There's lampshades for nighttime. There's little things we can put the fireflies in that sort of give us light. We still do have a torch when nighttime hits. It takes roughly 20 minutes for it to hit nighttime, maybe 15 minutes. And then we have these things here. These are our little icons to let us know what path we're on. It's not going to show us on the map what path until we unlock the skill to sort of show more information, and that'll let us see those numbers, and it'll also let us see these like dirt paths, and that will make a big difference in terms of navigating. But at the start of the game, when you first boot this up, you really just want to wander around, collect resources, and play the game in that regard. As much as you can customize, like deck out each one of these areas, it's good in terms of the restaurant building thing, and it's good in terms of like your pacing of the game to have fun. But ideally, if you're trying to progress through this quickly, you want to focus on Grandma's tasks first. You want to focus on finding all these places first, and then you want to start decking each one of them out. And I think it'll be more fun that way if you kind of really customize one area, make it awesome, then do the next one, then do the next one. And I mean, you can do that in any order you want in terms of progressing these kind of games, but I think that is the most fun way to play this. But this is a really simple game. There's no way to lose in this game. You got, you know, you have money in terms of things, like there's certain ways you can lose money by answering things wrong. And one thing with this game that can get a little frustrating is they will hugely motivate you to jump down to get the next item, the next coin that's sort of off on a ledge or somewhere, and you can only get it by jumping down. And when you get up, it'll sort of take you through this pathway to get up to these top areas that are kind of hard to get to, and you will find yourself sort of having to backtrack a lot to get back up again if you do jump down to get this sort of one little collectible thing, and a lot of the times those chests aren't even worth the effort. But right here we're seeing something called, it's one of the areas, the Black Tower, and there's a gem that's sort of the reward for doing this whole side mission thing. It costs 1 coin every time you basically screw up, so you have to, you know, do a multiple choice kind of thing. So it's going to give us 2 options here: drink a potion or light a torch. And we have to pick between these 2 options, and it'll have a chain of multiple choice things, but we have to pick the right choices to proceed, or else bad stuff happens. So I'm going to pick the wrong choice here and drink the potion, and it's going to basically tell us, oh, we lost, we should have picked the other thing. And we can spend another coin and keep doing that. I'm not going to spoil all those. The Black Tower is the only thing that has that kind of like side quest thing in terms of the multiple choice things, but as we see later on, we'll go past the Wishing Well, and that has its own things, and each one of these sort of hot spots have their own little mini quests of repairing this or doing that, and that sort of keeps you playing. So even though it says on the Steam page, you know, 2 to 4 hours of entertainment, you know, I beat the story, found all the campsites, did all that kind of stuff, but there is still a bunch more I could do, and I think if I were to, you know, max out on this for myself, I'd probably be looking at, you know, in a single save file, ideally I could probably be looking at 6 or 7 hours, maybe even 8 hours playing this. So there's definitely value in that regard, and it was fun enough that when I tried to start this save file again, to play again, it's fun again. It's very mindless, walking around, picking up things, and that's fun. You're always feeling good, collecting new stuff, getting more resources to build new stuff. You can totally gauge the system by building the restaurant and just sitting there, because when we get the marketplace, it does cost skill points to be able to trade resources when you get the marketplace, and the marketplace is not cheap. You know, it's going to require 30 coins and as well as other resources, but it's not too hard to get to that point. Once we get the marketplace, so we can trade resources for coins and whatever, so you could probably just AFK a restaurant and then collect all the money from it and do that kind of thing. So if you want to just hang out in a spot and do the restaurant and don't even worry about the main quest or worry about exploring and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. That's totally in your power to do that. And this game is lighthearted and fun in that regard. We can see on screen, looking at the graphics here, that this is quite a colorful game, and running it on my TV, it looks really, really sharp. It looks nice. It appears to be on Switch as well as Steam, and it also is on itch. So take note of that. And I think it's a GOG game. So if you want a DRM free options, you got those as well. This is definitely a fun game though. It's beautiful looking. It's not too complicated, so pretty much all ages can enjoy this. I mean, I'm pretty old and I still had fun playing this. It's relaxing, easygoing. But here's one of those lamppost things. So we're gonna need fireflies to power those on. But when we get to the nighttime, the nighttime really isn't too big of a concern there. We're kind of wandering around picking up objects here because that's sort of the main part of the game. And even as you progress to the end point of the game, you're still wandering around collecting objects. The better you know the map, the easier it'll be to sort of make the best of your time. But you can just wander around for fun, and that's a big portion of what I think this game is good for. People that just want these easygoing, they want Yonder, they want Dealand, they want Animal Crossing. I don't think that the hardcore Stardew Valley people are going to find this challenging enough to really pull in the big farming crowd group. But for people that just want an easygoing, fun, mostly mindless experience that they get to, deck out some cool park stuff. And when I said park, and I said this, I said, okay, it's not a theme park, it's just a regular park kind of deal. There's a couple things you can build that start getting you into that actual park type of thing. So here we're looking at the skills. And you have 10 levels where you get more and more skills, and you can buy all this stuff. You don't get more skills than these. So these are all the skills. The ones I like or recommend getting are the move faster, jump higher, athleticism one, because that'll help you get resources better. Backpacking to carry more resources. And like I was saying, so you can see the pathways, and so you can see sort of the numbers on the map. Cartographer is a big deal. So that's kind of how that works. Oh, and sorry, the salesman, where you can trade the resources at the marketplace. That's also a big one. So you kind of pick and choose on that. And master builder is also important. So you see these other ones are sort of like getting more objects, seeing farther at night, selling, like getting more money from the restaurants. So they're kind of make your job a little bit easier type of ones. So you can pick and choose of those things. I don't think that it makes a massive difference in terms of how many resources I found when I was scouring the map. But, spend the points where you want to, because it's not a long game and it's not going to kill you otherwise. But looking at the map now, we have the numbers. We can see we are in the top right. And then we have those pathways. So those little yellow box things we found, those are those numbers on that pathway. It will not tell you on the map where you are. You can call that a flaw, but at the same time, I kind of like that it forces you to look at the map and figure out where you are as if you were actually in a real park. You get so much hand-holding in games these days, and this is not a hard game. So I think that little bit of challenge is no big deal. But when we're building this place here, we have the ability to place, we can recycle to get rid of it, we can move it around again. When we go into that restaurant thing, we can collect whatever resources are there, whatever is built up in terms of sales. But we do these first 4 areas, we can build whatever of these objects we want. We can build the cheapest one if we want, or whatever. But once we get these 4, it'll be a short period of time that another camper will come, and then we have a new set of things that we need. And to sort of, build the first one, which is basically just build some sort of rest object. I always do the campfire, but for the first thing. But then after that, we can sort of deck it out. And this area that I'm showing you right here is pretty large to be able to sort of build stuff in. And these guys, they say some pretty funny stuff. Like, you want to have a staring contest? Like, okay, let's do that. And sometimes it involves money, and sometimes it's just hilarious. And there's some side quests and whatever. So that is a factor in all of this. But yeah, this is a pretty big location, and if we wanted to customize this to get to that third stage, we just keep building things. I don't have a huge amount of resources right now to fully deck this place out like I would love to, and I don't have the full marketplace customized thing. And to be honest, there's a degree of spoilers in all that regard. So there is one spot that basically there's multiple spots that you really have like a linear progression where you need to fix something to get you up to a certain height, which then sends you to something else where you need to fix. And they sort of give you these like roadblocks of progression to get to that like final grandma's quest conclusion. So you feel satisfaction in reaching the credits, but you can totally just not do that. And even after the credits, it's not really the end of the game, because you got all these campsites to max out. And even when you max out like the check mark on these, there's more in that regard. So what I'm gonna say is I don't want to spoil more than more than I need to. So I'm gonna leave the video at that because I think that's enough to. I'll keep it planned for the rest of the gameplay. So if you wanna keep seeing a little bit more of me wandering around here, then that is perfectly fine. But to summarize this game, it's sort of relaxing collectathon with minor, decorating elements, and that's the game at its core. If you like collectathon games, this is kind of fulfilling that sort of niche. It's a grindy sort of thing, but because it's not too big and it looks nice and everything, I would definitely say I recommend this. I had fun playing this. I'm super happy that I, decided to take the developer up on the offer to be able to play this game for the channel, because I totally loved it. In terms of flaws and like that stuff, there was a couple issues I had where some of the button presses seemed like they were delayed, but I don't know if that's partially because I use a program to use my PlayStation 4 controller on the PC. So I'm wondering if that was causing some sort of concern, because it was a weird delay. But you can, for the most part, jumping and everything else had no delay. It was just sort of placing the objects. So that could just be a day one fix, that just random bug I was having. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you wander around here, collect stuff. That's what the game is. If you like this kind of content, this is the first of these non-VR games I'm going to cover. I'm probably going to start covering some more of these kind of games to have fun, because I got my 4K TV, and you know what, I had so much fun covering this one. So if you like VR content, definitely check out the rest of the stuff I've got. I've got tons and tons of videos. We just hit a huge milestone of 300,000 views on the channel, and that's me taking this channel seriously for about a year, so that is a huge milestone for me. But otherwise, if you're into this type of game, I love these kind of games, so I'll most likely be covering this kind of stuff again. So like, comment, and subscribe if any of that stuff is interesting to you. I am out of here, but thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much to the developers for giving me access to cover this game. Have a great day.